Am vergangenen Mittwoch hat uns Ubisoft endlich alles, vermeintlich alles, zum neuen Kampfsystem für Anno 117 Pax Romana in einem 90-minütigen Livestream auf Twitch verraten. So können wir jetzt ergänzend zu den letzten Anno-News, in welchen wir uns schon ausführlich mit dem Militär beschäftigt haben, festhalten, dass Mauern doch nicht bebannt werden können, dafür aber Türme und Tore zurückschießen und deshalb für den Bau auch produzierte Waffen benötigen. Des Weiteren kann bei den Mauern Entwarnung gegeben werden, dass sich diese zu einfach einreißen lassen. So können zwar Fußsoldaten Holzpalisaden mit Fackeln niederbrennen, gegen Steinmauern aber tatsächlich nichts ausrichten, für welche dann wiederum Belagerungswaffen zwingend erforderlich sind.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Anno livestream on this wonderful Wednesday. I think
Hot Wednesday.
It's a very hot Wednesday. Sorry for the small delay. I had to grab our toad, so that took me a minute. But yeah, now we're ready with the mascot. Both mascots. We also got our pink mascot here as well. Yeah. So again, welcome to a live stream. Today we're talking about the topic of warfare in Anno 117 Pax Romana. I'm Oliver. I'm the community developer in Anno. And I have three guests with me. There are four. We have a mystery guest who's joining us very soon. So we have Manu, you know him.
Hello.
Director. Also Lisa, who's helping me keeping everyone here in check. And then Jan, you've met him before as well.
Hello.
Our game director. Do you want to lose a few words yourself to have a message for the audience?
A message for the audience. We are not prepared for a real message, no, but we are super happy to talk to you about land combat, as you know, or we showed already some few snippets out of it, but today you will see it also live in game, and we are very happy to show it to you.
Yeah, super cool.
All right, so of course the topic of warfare in Anno is one with tradition. And they always came with a warfare element. They were always obviously the ships, but also land units in some way that you could use for warfare. So we're using the intro a bit and using Manu in particular to give you a bit of a context on how was the topic of warfare, of combat and land combat handled in Anno in general, and then what is the take a bit what we're doing with Anno 117. Then we'll dive into the game. With our so far still mystery guest and talk and show you actually the different units and how everything works. And then we brought some more content, some videos to actually show you some of these like specific aspects in detail. So I think we can switch to the quick presentation we prepared. There's a clicker for you, Manu. Wait.
Yeah.
There you go. And the stage is yours.
Good.
Please tell us a bit about our take on warfare in Anno or Anno's take on warfare in general.
I mean, general warfare is not at the core of the game. I know it's all about a warm, welcome, inviting world. It's a world that immerses you, and usually it's all about building something beautiful. But still, there's drama in our world, and this is also true for the Anno games, all the Anno games to some extent. Some of them had land combat as a feature, some of them not. And but all the traditional Annos that were set in the past, beside 1800, had as a feature, and this is basically the background where we're coming from. So it's a important part, but not the most important part, not the core of the experience. But we also know that a certain group of our fans out there, they really love it, and they also asked us in the past, also with 1800, they asked for more combat options, and that's something we want to deliver with Anno 117 Pax Romana. And when we look into the past, we really tried out different approaches when it comes to combat. So 1403, for example.
1503.
Too
many numbers, right?
Exactly. So we had an approach which was really RTS-like. So you really controlled single units. And also, as you see in this shot, we also had beautiful walls and cities that you could conquer. So this was one take that we tried out in 1404, for example. We changed the system. Here it's less RTS-like. It's more that you place buildings, and the warfare was not executed actively by you. this is another take that we wanted to try. And so, as you see along the history of the franchise, we really try to find the best angle that how we do land combat and how do we deliver on this fantasy. And then in 2205, for example, we tried something else. We decided early on that we don't want to do land combat in this title, but we also try to find a good way. How do we incorporate combat in a way that is not so distracting for the player, also not that the player don't fear in danger of their creation all the time. So that's why we had here the approach of creating dedicated maps where you could explore ship combat in this case. These were almost like mini games that we had, so this was also one approach that we explored in the last years. Yeah, and in 1800, I'm not sure if you remember, it was also we also discussed this at the Anno Union quite extensively, because also in the team we had a lot of discussions around should we bring land combat back, or is naval combat the thing to do? And in the end, we decided to go against land combat for various reasons. First, for example, ship combat was or naval combat was still very, very important during the time period and a dominating factor. On the other hand side, also we didn't want to get too close to the World War I fantasy, tanks and all these kind of things that we had or would have to deliver. And of course, also creating a land combat is always it's a high investment also for the team. And so here we decided to not touch this subject and stick to naval combat only.
And as someone pointed out in chat, yes, 2070 had yet another approach. We didn't go through all the games here. We just wanted to give you an overview. But 2070 had air, like choppers, like helicopters, basically. So the air units, which was the equivalent to that came on top of the ship combat. There were no land units, but there were air units to fight. And so that's also the setting, as you said. Like the setting has an impact as well, the choice of the combat styles we're choosing. I think then when we're leading now into Anno Pax Romana, and we're again talking about the setting, and I think you mentioned in the interviews and in articles before that Roman fantasy, when people think about Rome, they think about legionnaires and land units, right?
So it was right clear from the start that if we go to Rome, then we want to deliver on the full fantasy, and for the full fantasy, legionaries are super important. So that's why, with the first days starting to developing on the project, we already also started to look into how can we tackle this time the topic of land combat, and how do we do this time. And so it was clear we want to deliver, and I'm very happy with what we will show you in a few minutes, and because it will be super exciting.
Big shout out to Pirolino, who's raiding us with his group of watchers. Thank you very much for coming over and joining our live stream. There was another question that I think is quite good to ask here right now, because it takes away some of the things we're a bit asking, but there was Frozen Times X. Sorry for butchering your name. He asked if we could explain or comment on why we chose an RTS approach now more RTS approach for Anno 117 Pax Romana compared to a more passive style, like 1404. I think had the most passive of the combat, because you built these camps and sent units somewhere. So if you wanna leave a few words on the direction here.
Or maybe it's even a more bad question for Jan, because when we started to work on the project, it was Jan looked heavily into all the different options that we have.
Yeah, so basically the main reason was how long it took in 1404 to actually overtake the enemy islands, because we wanted to be still faithful to the city builder. So we said yes, the land combat is definitely has to be there for the Rome setting, but we don't want you to spend hours. And it was very if you remember, 1404 was very position war. You had to overtake every market and every warehouse slowly going forward. So it really took a lot of time actually to overtake the island. And the problem was that in such game like Anno is, where you need to maintain a lot of production buildings, a lot of trade routes or this kind of things, everything starts to fall apart. And we felt like we want to have also much shorter and agile experience, so that you can also, if you do the warfare, that still you have time to focus what is the most important, which is the city building. And that was one of the main reasons why we switched to a more agile approach.
I also want to add maybe because whenever we did land combat, whatever option we have chosen, there were also obvious fans out there who ask for more or refined it, and also we wanted to create a system that works also on the long run, that allows us to modify it, to really shape it to a proper way. And that's why I also believe with the current approach that we have all the tools, all the ingredients to create a really strong land combat experience, which is still a good fit for the Anno game.
Always the fans also discussing what is the better land combat, if 1701 or 1404. I think this is really the discussion. And 1701 was also this more agile like approach. You can directly control the unit, so that was actually more our reference, what we wanted to go for.
He did add something, a comment here to his question that was maybe my misunderstanding. He meant passive in terms of that I don't even control the units, but that the combat happens basically automatically. Like the firefighters who just go and fight the fire. That the combat is just something that I don't even control. Essentially, is the question.
So I mean, there might also be options in the game where you don't need to do all the things, but we also didn't want to miss out on that, because for some of our players this is a great thing. Some of our players also really enjoy naval combat and doing formations with the ships, or trapping other ships or hunting them down, things like that. And we thought, hey, if we have all of these options for our naval combat fans, it would be a missed opportunity if we not deliver also on this for all the fans out there who want to explore land combat.
Yeah, always the safest is offer all, because player will find what they like the most. So that's the safest option. So yeah, maybe we have something what actually can streamline it or autopilot it, or we will show you. But yeah, we know there will be always players like, I want to control it, give me all the controls.
Yeah.
And always keep in mind, I mean, we talk a lot now about different player types. We know that some of you out there will go heavy on this feature, and some of you not, and that's also perfectly fine. And we will we really try to be careful about this, and to deliver the Anno experience that you are used from the previous Anno game, but also the options of Anno 117.
Yep. There's some other questions that already go into like the units or like these kind of things. We'll tackle that later. We just keep it more like on a vision and kind of view for this very segment, but you can ask that question later. Maybe we already actually in fact answer that question ourselves with the rest of this live stream today. There was one more. What do you think about people that will use military one time because they play solo without enemies? I mean, obviously you can use any of our features whatever way you want. So if you don't want to engage combat, or you just want to do it solo and not use it multiplayer, or just beat the enemies and then settle for the rest of the game, that's totally up to you. Like we don't, we are okay with you not using the features exactly how we intend them to.
I mean, in the end, it's a big sandbox, and you should do what you enjoy the most, and it's up to you.
Exactly, you should build your stories. We just want to deliver the tools that you can choose to use them or not.
And I think this is really important to mention, like combat is completely optional in Anno 117 Pax Romana, as lots of other things in the game is. So we really wanted to put the player in the forefront.
That is not a difference to the, I think, because there was the topic on like optional. It's not a change to how we've handled it previously, right? So you could always decide, do you want to play with rivals? Do you want to enable pirates? Do you want to play peacefully and just do alliances? Or do you want to go all in and like fight your opponents? It was always up to you, and this is not changing from
I mean, in the campaign experience, there will be a bit of more of a guided experience that, also in 1800 or older Annos, but in the sandbox mode, it's really up to you how to customize it. But maybe I also want to, just when we talk about vision and what we try to achieve, we also try to, I mean, today we talk mainly about land combat, but there's a lot of other things that are connected to land combat. For example, that also for the city builder, this adds a lot of new options for you. Talking about walls, gates and so on, that even if you're not into military, you can use those options now to shape your city, to build your empire. As you want to. And we also made sure that whatever we do here, it's very, very much also connected to the economy of the player.
Yep.
So it will not be easy to raise a big army, and this is also something that was very important for us to really tie it closely to the core Anno experience.
All right.
Cool.
I think we covered the first thing. Again, questions that are going to more specific, how that combat works and what units there are, etc. This is exactly what's gonna happen like in this next segment.
Yeah.
Obviously, we will still also read the chat like throughout the stream, Lisa and me, and pick out questions from there. So don't worry, we probably won't be answering everything, but try to pick some stuff here and there. Then I would say thank you, Manu, for joining us for this intro segment.
Yeah, now
of
to
live
the
stream.
exciting part. Yeah. So, okay, see you guys.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, Manu.
Yes, just wait.
So it's time now to reveal our mystery guest. Nice.
Over. Hello.
Yeah, mystery guest. Would you introduce yourself after? Yeah, sure. Check the microphone first and then introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah. I'm Markus Werner, the main game designer behind the combat system and all military-related topics here in Anno 117 Pax Romana. I'm not that mysterious, but I'm really happy to be here today. Yeah.
We do it a little bit like Gandalf did in The Hobbit, where he just introduced the dwarves one by one to Bjorn during that segment. He was like just grabbing 2 dwarves, and then like, yeah, it's just a small group, and so we do the same thing
It's
here.
getting
We just
more and more.
like, yeah, it's Manu, but like, wait,
That's more.
we have actually more similar approach. Yeah. So wait, let me
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
hand you
Equip
your
with the
tools.
With the tools of
Uh,
creation.
Then we can. The only thing we need to remember, you can already switch to the game. Well, not the video, the game.
Mhm.
Darius. You can already switch. I won't see that. That's fine. And the only thing you would need do now, because I disabled the audio, if you could just go to audio settings real quick and turn up the volume. Yep.
To
To maximum. Yeah,
or-
Manu. Darius will handle the. Manu will do the rest.
Shout out to Darius
Right.
for handling the stream. Thank you so
behind the
much.
scenes.
All right, then I'll grab my chat again, and now for the second segment where we will actually take a look at the game. I need to preface this again, as I'm usually doing with. This is obviously a work in progress version, so everything you will see, both the gameplay as well as the videos that will be shown later, are all taken and shown from an in progress, in development version. Things might look a bit weird, they might be broken, there might be text, there might be error messages, maybe the game crashes, hopefully not, but we'll see. So just take that as usual. This is work in progress, we are still working on that game. So just to preface this. All right, then we're looking at a beautiful city. We don't talk about city building much today, but I still try to build it kind of beautiful. Right, honestly.
You did a great job.
I like your cities, absolutely. Love it.
And just to make people mad, I also tried very hard to incorporate lots of empty spaces and weird angles. Also, one thing, did we show that last time? The ornament, the ground plates
I think that's
in the live stream.
I'm not sure. but
There's
maybe we
somewhere in
can
the
just
middle
look
of the
at
city.
it.
There's like a flower. This
yeah,
one.
there.
This one.
Ooh.
I just want to highlight that because I love that. Like these mosaic ground plates. I think they were not in the version that we showed in the last live stream, and so I just wanted to highlight this. Like I love these. There obviously are ornaments in the game, and these ground plates are part of it.
Ollie, your city just got rated a 8 out of 10.
I'll take an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. I
Thank
think
you
it's
much.
good, yeah.
Thank you. Who was that? Dutch hero. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. But yeah, obviously, as you can see some other stuff we've shown before. Houses. There's an aqueduct quite prominently in the back. And you can see it stretch over the river and everything. But I think people are waiting for the military part.
So yeah, let's show you the military part of your
Right.
city. So as we already showed in the IGN video, we have the recruitment buildings over here. So we have 3 different recruitment buildings that you can build in your city, each dedicated to a certain branch of the military. Once we have the barracks, so they are responsible for your infantry units, so everything on foot. Then we have the training, the Equitem Campus, which is responsible for your cavalry units, which is a higher tier of unit. And then lastly, we have the siege workshop, which will provide you with your siege engines. Let's have a look at the unit roster and how they all look. Here I already recruited some of our infantry units. So we have, let's have a look in the your baseline units will be the archers and the spearmen. So those 2 units will be available from the very beginning and are your bread and butter units throughout the game.
That's a throwback to what we did in the last live stream of that as a research, a discovery tree. So there will be units that you first need to unlock before you can actually use them.
Yeah, and those units are also recruited from Libertus, so very basic tier, which is good to know. So it's really easy to recruit them because you don't need to develop so high tiers. So
yeah, you can get them early on, the easy ones. Yeah.
it's also easy to feed them.
So yeah, there are some of our auxiliary spear troops down there, and the archers.
Yeah, they are the lowest tier infantry units. We will later on go a bit into the what they're used for. But yeah, as you can see, our troops are all made up of individual soldiers, and you can send them around, and they will all find their way and behave as individual minds. Following the overall command, which is also the basis of our whole combat system. So when they fight, they also fight one-on-one and have to be kind of in range, which makes it a very dynamic system for open field fights, we will see later, but also for fights in your city, because that's a big part of Anno. You build the battleground, so if you fight in the cities, your troops have to adjust their size, and suddenly the dynamics can change. So now have a look at the very iconic legionaries.
They're currently hiding in the bushes.
They're currently hiding in the bushes, yeah, let's get them out here. Because that is already a more advanced unit that you need the plebeian tier for, so the second population tier. And yeah, they are way more robust and take a lot of time to kill on the battlefield. And they will be your front line and your backbone.
But those you have to already research and also create a new building, which is armory. So basically,
they're definitely more expensive, but it will take you a bit of time.
Yes,
to get there.
Talking about expensive, that's a good point. So they will not just cost you workforce and money, of course, but they will also require specific wares, so goods. So over here we have built a small industrial complex to smelt some iron and smith that iron into weapons, which is the baseline for all military units. So everything military related will require weapons, but the legionaries will also require armor, which is more expensive to create, and makes them overall more difficult to produce in large quantities.
You could just click on one of the recruitment buildings, because then we can actually take a look. Like if you hover over the legionnaires, obviously there are also other values. We'll tackle those in a moment, I think. But you can see their maintenance costs with money, population, workforce. So that's like similar to the ships that we've talked about previously. That all the a fire has started. Wonderful. That all the units, both land, on, and sea, will permanently take away some of your workforce, which in turn means that you need to balance that out. So you need to, obviously all your production buildings need workforce as well, and then your trade ships, every ship will need workforce. So how do you balance that? You need to balance out your army, your military needs or dreams with your
With your
with your
economy.
production and economy. Yeah.
You can have a small village and have a very huge army, of course. So you need to really build a lot of, or quite large city, a lot of population to have also the army.
That could be one island purely dedicated to produce the workforce for your army, for example. So it really is up to you how you spend your troops, and also if you send them into war or on your fields.
But what we can also say, just like a small snippet, if you build your villa, you will have also a basic garrisons to your villa. So some of the units will be already available because, of course, the governor needs protection.
Oh no, what's this?
Oh, I don't know. It's Buck.
Let's have a closer look at the troops while we're talking.
So a huge improvement.
City officer there in the middle.
How the units look. Yeah. So that's a centurion. Yeah. Was always leading 80 men troop.
And then let's continue to the cavalry.
Just about the centurion. Is it like that he has twice more HP? I think that he's really tough. Yeah, I think that he's really. If you see him fighting, he can withstand a bit of damage. Yeah? So you see that he can. He's definitely tougher than the other soldiers. Yeah?
Last man standing.
Yeah.
Last man standing.
Maybe also we can just clarify, because Rent-A-Car posted a question in the chat, if they cost weapons one time or over time.
And they will only cost the weapons one time for recruitment. The maintenance cost is something you have to constantly provide the workforce, but the weapons are one-time investment. If they fall in battle, you have to recruit a new troop with new weapons. So you need a constant supply for a prolonged war.
Because there was also asked here where the workforce is being drawn from. Is it that one island, or can I Is this always the recruitment island where the workforce is coming from?
Yes, exactly. So the workforce will be drawn from the island where you recruit your troops. So it is important to keep an eye out for that.
That also goes across region. You don't want to go too much into the Albion province, but right, if I send my units here, put them on a
they
ship
will
and
still
send them
require the
somewhere else.
workforce of the home province. So the home island will take the workforce, and if you send your legions to Albion, it will still be your Roman people. So here we see also the cavalry, which is a higher tier, or a higher tier unit, which you recruit from the equites, so our third tier of population, because it will open up a lot of tactical maneuvers into your fighting style. So this is already going into a more advanced direction once you mastered basically the base units. And the same is true for the siege engines. So here we can see the catapults, 3 catapults per troop, and they are required to conquer the larger islands with stone walls, which we can also show. That's also was mentioned by Manu already. So the combat is not just about the RTS part of it. So commanding your troops is one part, but building your city according to the new mindset is also very important. So if you want to protect your villa, you always have to think of where the enemy will come from, probably from the beaches, and then you can build your walls across your land.
It's quite costly. So
yes, it will cost a lot of.
Easy, and it was quite an endeavor to build the stone walls.
A full city wall. And as you can see, the gates are built automatically.
And they cost weapons, I just
Yes.
And yes, the gates cost weapons because they are also armed
Nice.
with archers. They will only show up once there's actually a threat nearby. But gates and towers will shoot back. So.
And they also cost workforce, even though that they cost way less workforce than the classical unit. Yeah, but still, even the tower cost the workforce.
And I think they are different. Sorry. These microphones, they always keep like lowering
Drifting
themselves.
down.
And I think they also, you just built I think the standard Archer tower. There are different towers later that you can also research that are like, I think
Yeah,
with
I also
these
think you-
scorpions, right?
You have
they
already placed a wooden palisade
Yes.
blueprint here,
Blueprint
so you
only,
can
yes.
also blueprint it and build it later.
Mhm.
We'll just build it piece by piece. But yeah, we have two different kinds of walls. The wooden wall will be available from the beginning, and the stone wall is something you also have to unlock in the tech tree.
Mhm.
Yeah, we will later also show a video about
Yep.
the process of destroying those walls. Yeah, I think that's most part. One thing that is
Mhm.
also the encampments.
Yeah, that
And
would be
also
nice.
an important part, because we were talking about the maintenance cost of your troops. There is also something that you can do. So also in the tech tree, as one of the very first.
Can you show it in the tech? Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be nice. Cool.
Over here, we can see one of the very first techs is the encampment. That will allow your troops to set up camp on your island and basically, they will not cost that much money anymore. So you can have a standing army, but if you send them into war, it will be a heavy drain on your balance. Oops.
And if you have also losses, they recover faster in camps.
Yes. So once I press the encamp button, we can see that I get this blueprint mode, and then I can set them to build up their little camp out here at my barracks. So maybe let's just build a few. Get those out of the way. We can also see we have different ones for each of the categories. So
I'm glad that the horses don't have to sleep in tiny tents.
yeah, the horses don't have to sleep in tiny tents. Yes.
Also, and they have different camps. So if you do for horses, you'll see that it's actually different.
Yeah.
And what I super like about this, like also for the fans of history. So if you know the Romans typically they built the castrum. This was like the fortress, and they could also build it when they were on a march. And if you just like encircle it with the palisade, it's also something what you can quite clearly reconstruct, which is super cool, I find. Or you can beautify it with some flower beds if you want.
Yeah, so even if you never send your troops to war, they have their place in your city as decoration
Yeah.
if
Now
you
they
want
don't have
to.
a gate to come out.
Now it's a prison. Now it's a prison. Marcus.
Now it's a prison. Yeah. Well, now it's a prison.
Yeah, that's good prison. I like the prison.
But we also wanted to, I think, show the units moving a bit and like
Yes, we can send them
crossing,
around.
like moving around the land. We already heard them all like slowly shuffling over through the land. You hear them like hear the equipment there. I think so. There. Nice.
Yeah, they will
Marching
adjust
sound
their size according to the obstacles they encounter.
Yeah, so every soldier is navigated on its own, but of course they try to stay somehow cohesive and in a formation as much as possible. But
Maybe while
you
they're
can-
moving,
Sorry.
just one more question on the camp. What's the price for the camp? Like resources, or is it free?
Once you have researched it, setting up the camp is free. So your troops always have their camps at their site. That's also very true to the Roman army. They just built their camps wherever they wanted. And once they are in camp, they will cost you less money maintenance.
Nice.
Because someone asked about formations. Do we want to wait for the video? Do you want to? Wanna give
Maybe
them
I
a-
can show this one live. So as we were talking also about the adjustment of your troops, we also have a command that you can adjust their width. So if you want to fill a specific gap, maybe I can show it. If you want to fill a specific gap between two buildings, you can also make them have a wider formation. To kind of be more precisely adjusted to the needs you have.
Right. Okay. didn't want to disrupt their marching towards the river. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
The question
that's,
just came up.
that's I think the
Cool.
final thing. So as you know, in Anno, the islands are divided by rivers, but bridges are not the only way to cross those rivers. We now also introduce forts where your troops can freely pass through the river, because that adds a lot of tactical
Yeah, you cannot just destroy the bridges and That's it.
If you see the enemy approaching, you can destroy your bridges, but they can still pass through the rivers, so no worry. Yeah, here we can see the different.
Yeah. They can
Signs,
also patrol, for example, like ships. So if you like them to run around in a circles through your city, you can do that. But it's expensive. It's cheaper to have them in camp.
Yes, that's a way to flex your money wealth. If you have running around troops, that clearly means you can spend the extra money.
But also to address the question of Neokandor in the chat. So even if you choose to play the game without combat, you have to build the army buildings. Is that true?
If you never want to recruit a unit, you don't have to build the recruitment buildings.
Optional.
So their only use is for fighting. Although, if you play with rivals, some of the rivals might react if you have no army. So there are rivals that will look down on you if you do not protect your cities. Even if it's just, if you never use the troops, you should maybe still have them just to impress your neighbors.
And they make, if you want to build a beautiful city or like role play a bit, I think that makes for a nice element simply to similar to the walls, just to have some walls to protect your city, or just to build like an army group on a hill somewhere, like some encampment with some recruitment buildings, make for a nice role playing thing as well.
Fitting, yeah.
Let's encamp them.
Can you try to cross the bridge with the unit? It might look good or buggy, let's see.
Might look good or buggy. Let's see.
Jan before the stream was like, don't cross the bridge. It probably looks weird. And now he's like, you know what? Let's cross the bridge and take a look.
Let's do
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm not sure what happens. Do I fly away?
Now, the moment of truth. If we need to work on it more, it's kind of
Absolutely.
okay.
And
Might
again, the
they-
game is still in development.
Hey, guys. I think it's...
Let's focus on the front row.
They are very well trained to jump high, so... but it's pretty good, actually.
But also, I fully understand them. Like, if I had to choose between walking through a river and over a bridge, I would definitely take the bridge. So.
Yes.
I mean,
Even if it means
on the
jumping
other
up a bit.
If it's as warm as it is right now, maybe I would go through the river.
I could use a bit of
Oh, you're
warm.
going back, come on.
now I'm really pushing it, yeah. But I told them to stay closer to each other now. Yeah,
Ah, nice, yeah.
yeah, because bridges are also, of course, a tactical advantage. Because if your troops are narrow in this way, if they are the stronger troops, you force the enemy to fight you more or less one-on-one. You are harder to flank if you have no sides open.
And it will also take longer because usually only the first row, or in this
fighting.
case maybe 2 rows because they have spears, they are
Yes.
able to fight. So the rest cannot join the fight because they are 50 meters far away.
Yeah, so
And-
that's a great way to
yeah.
stop the enemy, because fights on open field are much more are faster because the fight is more chaotic and the people are everyone is engaged, and here it really drags out. Okay, then maybe encamp them one last time.
And then I guess we can move over to some of the combat scenarios we prepared afterwards.
Just a small thing. They have also different movement speeds. Yeah. So even for example, infantries, like the legionnaires are the slowest because they are heavy armed. So for example, these guys are a bit faster. So even that you can play.
Yes, depending on their armor, their movement speed is different. And of course, horses are the fastest. And catapults are even slower than.
But for example, from
legionaries.
infantry, the slingers are the fastest because the sling was not usually very heavy, and they can run quite like without any limitations.
Yes, and one interesting question here from Spig Andromeda, maybe? Andromeda. Would it make sense to build walls around the forts, the parts where the people can cross the rivers? Would it make sense to build like a like a
Yeah.
palisade or something, maybe.
Yeah, you can wall off the forts if you like.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's an obstacle the enemy then has to
Crash.
tackle. I can also show you can even cross the rivers with
Ooh,
your.
wow, I didn't try that yet. Ah,
Oh,
cool.
lovely.
I didn't know that. Learned something new today.
Learned something
I
new
didn't
today.
dare build the
Yeah,
wall
so you
across
can
the-
build some very intricate fortresses around
And
your
now if you
forts.
wait
if
half
you want.
hour, the river will flood everything. Yeah, so, like behind.
We even have those special pieces where the water can flow through. Would be a shame if a Urukai would put a bomb there, but yeah, that won't happen in our game.
2 Lord of the Rings Tolkien reference in one
References.
stream. I think we can top that. And some because someone asked, no, you can't move the rivers. The rivers are
Yes.
fixed, like the mountains and everything else. They're fixed landscape elements. You can't move them or redirect them or anything like that.
You can only work with them.
Or you can make your rivers with aqueducts.
Yes.
Make your own rivers with an aqueduct.
Oh, that
Very
may be
high
also
river.
something nice to show. Maybe I'll just.
Cheating.
And there at the beginning we said, yeah, you have to use workforce. They can just manifest out of thin air.
Well, they can if you're,
If
will-
you cheat.
if you're cheating. Yeah, so aqueducts are also
Beautiful.
a nice place to fight. Everything is a nice place to fight. Whenever I look at the city, I see only nice places to fight. Like, this is a nice place.
If I just see, since I just see the sanctuary there, topic of religion, we tackled that last time as well, right, Jan? When we talked about the different deities and they have buffs. While I'm using Ceres right now, you can obviously worship
True.
Mars and then
Mhm.
get some bonuses on your military as well. So
Yeah.
this is the other element as well that is also tied to military. So like quite a few of the different elements of the game. You can even have your troops there now in the temple itself. So all the different systems, economy, discovery tree, your workforce, your population, and also religion. They're all and then and the warfare, the military, and all these systems are intertwined to a degree and interact with each other.
And also, like the Mars is basically we discussed this. They will do like volunteering, so everyone wants to volunteer in our armies. So actually, you don't have to keep such high workforces. So it's saving people, and they even willing fight for less wages. So you don't.
That's
have to
always
pay.
nice. Yeah.
And they have even higher morale. So they tend to fight longer or not break up easily. So when you're really building the armies, it's everything. It can save you money. It can save you workforce, and they are even better soldiers. And if you pray enough, there is a unit. Maybe we can still show,
also.
and that's very unique. It's you can then build gladiators, which normally you cannot build. So you need to achieve certain height of religion.
Maybe it's just that this thing is back.
And the gladiators are, let's say, not that armored, that legionnaires, but they are very skilled. They are also like I think head taller. Yeah. And
Yeah,
they
they
can be recruited from lower tiers, so they are really like elite soldiers. You can recruit from the Libertus, which is unseen.
Yeah, they have the same shield, but a very different body.
But only with Mars, otherwise not.
Yes. Only the truly dedicated gladiators to Mars go for you into the battle. Okay,
Right, I think that's the gameplay part. But as we said, like we have a few
videos.
videos to just show you some of the combat scenarios. So I think we can, pause here, and then when Darius lets us like nicely, like, can you please? On the other, we could leave the music on, I suppose, right? Because we have a bit of now. Leave it on. I think because the videos are not that loud, right?
Yeah.
So we have a few combat scenarios prepared to show you.
Should I just leave it?
I think leave it because you will need to switch to
I did it without hands.
You're, that's why
I'm the mystery
mysterious
guest.
Yeah. So we have this comment scenario here. Do you want to, before we start the video itself, do you want to give people a quick overview of what we're looking at? Obviously, as you see, there's the message in the top left that is like a cheated, is a prepared scenario, and on top of that, everything's work in progress. So take all of this with a grain of salt, but still for illustration purposes, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so here we basically want to show you the tactics of our combat system. So the units will not just cost different workforce, but also have different roles in your army. So here we have prepared a little setup between the cavalry and the spearmen. And those of you who already know, the spearmen have an advantage against the cavalry. So the cavalry might be fast, but if they are caught, or in this case charge straight up into the spearmen, the fight will turn quickly against them. So the spearmen are our cheapest unit, but they still have their use case even in late game scenarios, because they are the prime counter against enemy cavalry. So
Right,
yeah,
then
maybe we
let's
can
just
show it.
launch the video.
Prove it.
If you just press space,
Oh,
that might already start.
I'm not doing it with mystery hands.
So yeah, we obviously see cavalry here charging very recklessly
Yeah.
against spearmen, very brave.
Bad governor. Yeah.
Yeah, and now they are caught. So the initial charge deals a lot of damage. So that's their main use, is those brutal charges, best executed from the rear side. But once they are caught in the ongoing battle, they quickly start losing, and especially against the spearmen, they are at a disadvantage here. Of course, it will still take a bit of time. So if you notice your mistake early enough, you might be able to withdraw them. But there, the first one is already running.
Yeah.
And we can see the other ones are also not holding up.
So still a lot of spearmen left. Well, so
It's
let's
maybe
be definitely able to take another.
because we see
Another
them
free
charge.
running away. If you just want to pause the video, because I'm not sure how long it goes. We see them running away, and we didn't talk about morale yet. Maybe that's a good point to talk about this briefly and tackle on. There's obviously morale, as we see. They're not defeated completely. There's still units left, but they're still running away. How does the morale system work?
Yeah, that's kind of the second part of the tactics in our game. So the one part is the rock, paper, scissors, but the other one is our moral system. So the moral basically is a way that ensures that your people are not fighting to the last man, because that's very unrealistic. So also in history or in all recorded cases, fights were often decided by who ran away first. So this is reflected also in our game. And the moral is a way to influence the battlefield other than the numbers. So basically how you play is also important, because breaking the moral of your enemy can be achieved by tactical maneuvers like flanking or attacking from behind.
We just got the video for it.
We just got exactly. Yeah, we just what a coincidence. We just got a video for it. So now that we saw the cavalry losing against the spearmen, let's have a look at what a good use of cavalry can make a difference in an even battle. So here we can see we have two forces of legionaries. Maybe I can already start the video. So 4 versus 4 on the legionaries, but we see the blue legionaries have archers in their back rank that will support them, which is also, of course, a huge advantage. But the red player was smart and brought some cavalry, and has a nice open field to flank around. So here we can see the archers start shooting while the troops are advancing, but the cavalry is aware and starts the assault around the corner. So let's see them clash in the hail of the arrows.
They're really not that fast, yeah.
Yeah, it's as you can see, legionaries are the slowest units, and overall I think this also shows you a bit how the pace of the game is. So although we are RTS, the pace of the game is rather slow, so you have a lot of time to react and take your decisions,
Yeah, they are also like the tanks, the legionnaires. So definitely they are good to hold like the enemies, or for example, if there is too many of them, you can also hold the choke points and basically do this 300 movie scenario where you try to hold them as long as the reinforcements need to come, or
We also have
which
a video
might
for
never
that.
come.
Do we have a video for this as well?
But yeah, here we can see that that the cavalry charge already broke the archers on the right, because they didn't see that they would come out living here. But the other archers are kind of a bit braver. They didn't got hit as hard on the charge, so they are holding up a bit. But they should also run in a few seconds. There they are. And now, if the rear side is exposed, the cavalry can really charge in and turn the fight really fast. So they charge in and deal quite a lot of damage in the initial charge. And that's a really hard moral hit, so we should see them weaver in a few seconds and really reconsider their life choices.
They are braver, of course. They are well trained,
Yes.
the legionnaires, so they don't break, of course, that easily like archers.
Yeah,
But
different units will have different moral stats. So as Jan also said, this moral stat can be buffed. So with the Mars, your units will also stay longer on the battlefield.
And there's research on top that also
Yes.
has an effect
Yeah.
on these stats.
so, but as you see now, actually, the two middle legionnaire units already weavering, which
And now
there
it's
we go.
enough.
and that's another you see. So when they actually gave up, this also lowered the morale of the surrounding units. So sometimes you need to only make a decisive point in a battle when you turn enough of the units, and then the whole army can actually collapse.
Yeah, so that's also something that is in many historical accounts. So if one side of the battle starts to turn, you can really fold the rest of the line quickly over.
So in this scenario, as you see, the light cavalry, which was actually brutally defeated in the first video
With
by
the
the spearmen, now completely changed the tide of the battle. They crashed the other army, and actually even a lot of the Red Army survived the battle. So
Yeah, and is now ready to move into the city.
But what someone I think also earlier asked in chat, what happens with the units that are running away? Do they disappear? Did they get dissolved basically if they run away? What happens?
And can you control them?
So once your units start to flee, you can no longer control them. They will just choose the fastest way out and run around on the city or on the island. They do have a chance to recover. So if they haven't lost too many soldiers, but it was kind of just a bad situation, then they slowly regain the morale and at some point could rejoin the fight as reinforcements. But if they are decimated beyond a certain point of no return, they will just vanish. They will run away, desert, never to be seen again.
And that also means you get the workforce back for...
Yes,
Yeah.
once they are fully gone, you get your workforce back.
So that's also another good use of light cavalry.
Yes.
Chase them, no mercy. Just kill them enough that they will never come back.
Never return. Yeah, to make sure that they will never return, you can also chase them down. Which sounds macabre, but it's quite fun. Okay, yeah, here we have another scenario. So now we are in the city, and we already talked a bit about it. So we have here a choke point. And as I mentioned, the legionaries here are in the advantage. So they are much stronger on an individual level. Even though they are outnumbered, they can easily hold against those large numbers by just holding this small area in your city. Of course, the red player should now pick a few of his or her soldiers and go around. But in this scenario, we wanted to show you the impact of this choke points and the archers in the back. So we can see here we have two archer troops also, and they are shooting into the mass of people, which is highly effective because we also employ a accuracy system. So the closer your troops are, the closer your troops are, the more accurate you get, and the more people are kind of packed in one space. It's of course easier to hit someone because they're just everywhere. That's also for catapults. One catapult hit here could kill a lot of units. Yeah, and here we can see that in this choke point scenario and with the constant shooting of the archers, the red units are not looking good and are deciding to run away one after another.
We got the nice to see, I think, what you said, Jan, earlier, the legionnaires are really like the tanks, because they're holding... Sure, the archers are shooting, but they're holding their own there against quite the lengthy and overwhelming troop there, even if it's just spearmen. Yeah.
So also the archers, they lost the last battle because they were defeated by light cavalry, but now actually those archers doing the most damage and casualties, because the legionnaires, they're more like holding this army.
They're holding the first 5 people, but everyone in the back gets decimated by the archers. So that's the use case for archers, if there's no enemy cavalry to catch them off guard.
But
and we can see they're running now all over the place.
Yeah, in one question, like since we saw fighting in a city, are there any, like, is there impact on buildings? Like, can buildings in a city catch fire from nearby fighting?
Funny that you asked. The next topic is destruction of buildings. So yes, especially catapults are designed to destroy buildings and walls, as we can see in a few seconds. And there are casualties within your city. And troops are all equipped with an infinite amount of torches, so they can torch down your buildings. But we have also introduced, I'm not sure if I should, but the feud and the full-on war.
Yeah.
That's something that that we also introduced, because we know that in Anno you don't always want to go into a full-on war and all your trade routes are getting destroyed. So we introduce a new, smaller kind of war, which is mainly focused on your military targets. And in this feud, we call it, you're not allowed to destroy civilian buildings. So then you're not allowed to torch just residence buildings, but only the military targets. But if you decide to go in a full-on war, then you are even allowed to destroy the economy of your enemy, and you even get some coins out of it.
Or Colosseum, if you have 2 hours time.
If you have 2 hours time, you can even burn down the Colosseum.
Yeah, but also this is actually big, this type of war, because a lot of wars will be peaceful, because that's also something what is not that making the empire completely crazy. And that's actually also preventing that your trade ships are constantly under attack. Yeah, so this is really... So you don't have to go the full war, but also like this. I just want to destroy and overtake your island, but I will only focus on really military targets.
Just to recap some, because some people ask, so units, as we just said, like if the morale is too low and they start fleeing, they have a chance to, if the morale is not too low and they still have enough units left, they might recover and rejoin you as troops, or they dissolve essentially, and you get the workforce back and the units are gone. So this was the morale topic. Someone asked, and I just put that here because I found the question interesting. That if there's no morale bar, like the morale is not visible for people. Like obviously that we see the banner like changing, but there's no morale bar. So something you've thought about of adding like more details on the unit's current state to this icon there.
Yes, definitely. So the health bar and the head count is the main information here, and the moral is a bit more hidden, because it is also more or less a pro feature to really work with the moral. In most cases, it is just a way to ensure that they are not fighting to the last person. You can always check the moral when you click the unit and have a look in the object menu. There we show you the precise number, but we didn't want to clutter the main focus of the game. Should be the head count should be a good indicator of how your troop is currently doing, and at a certain point the moral will kick in, and we have those special states to warn you about the state.
Just to mention, obviously you're all like very much like, if you dislike or like it, you're all welcome to voice your opinion in chat as long as it's constructive and as long as it's polite, so that's totally fine. I think it's just worth highlighting that obviously this is still an Anno game, so even though the combat system, as Jan and Marcus just told you, is like quite extensive for an Anno game. There's a morale system, there are different unit types, they have different points in terms of armor, in terms of attack values, and these kind of things. It's still just one feature out of many. It's not the core of the game. So obviously there might be games that are much deeper in this topic because their main focus is the combat, and it's not the main focus of an Anno game. Just to contextualize this, because obviously this is just one thing. There's a whole economy, logistics, and city building layer on top of that, diplomacy and everything. That's coming on top of this combat system, right?
Yeah.
And just because there was some question about the optional, how optional needs, how optional the system is. We tackled at the beginning, but just to recap briefly, right? So obviously it's up to you if you want to engage with combat, and also up to you and how you set up the game. So if you want to have rivals and how difficult the rivals you want to have, if you want to have pirates that are in your session, this determines how much you might have to or will need to engage with the combat system. You can have peace with your opponents by making treaties, or you can be much more confrontational, and this determines then how much you will need this feature, to which degree you will have to use it. So if you feel very peaceful, like in previous Anno games, you can play in 1800, you played with Bente and Willy, and the chance of them ever attacking you are very, very slim. But if you tried very hard, you could get them into a war, and it's basically the same system here, just that there is on top the land combat in addition to the naval combat. So this is really we're not doing a radical shift in terms of Anno's core thing, what we talked about earlier when Manu was here. So it's still very much the Anno experience, just with now land combat coming back essentially in Anno 117 Pax Romana. All right, that's not just me. Sorry for the monologue. I just wanted to address some discussions in chat. Let's go for the next scenario we prepared. This is the fortification one.
Yes. So as we were talking about the destruction of buildings, we can see here actually some of the auxiliary spearmen torching down the wooden fortifications, which are the ones, as you remember, that are unlocked from the very early game. So you already have a base defense that will take a lot of time. So that's the main use for walls, is to slow down the enemy approach, to give you time. But here I quickly hovered over the stone wall, because stone walls cannot be destroyed by torches. They are a much bigger obstacle that your regular troops will not be able to pass. Only gates can be torched down, so there should always be a path, but you can't choose that path. Then it's up to the city builder to decide where you have to go. But if you bring some catapults, so that's where the seed engine come in and White's an advanced unit. If you bring some catapults, you are able to also destroy stone walls and choose your entrance as you see fit. And yeah, here we can see also the accuracy system taking place for catapults. So they have an area in which the rocks will hit. So it will take also quite a while for those catapults to shoot through this wall. But sooner or later they will get past it, and they will also leave a larger breach and not just one small thing because of their accuracy. As you can see, they hit quite a lot.
And you can also see that the spearmen, it takes quite a while to just take even the palisade takes its time to take down.
So it's also good to have in these walls like the towers, for example, because then it might be quite difficult to go through these walls. Yeah.
Or archers that are shooting
It's
back.
also about the building, because to build the palisade, it's relatively easy, so you can build it, or the material is the first material you have, and this is the wood, the lumber, and but for the stone walls you need much more like concrete stone, you need tiles, it's much more expensive, so definitely, and so you can only build them much later in the game.
So yeah, this takes them a while, and then they can ultimately go through. But you can already see, because we already talked about to answer that question, like, is it worth it putting a wall around the forts? And you can see, yes, if an enemy is coming on invading your island, you would want to. Any wall that you build in their way will slow them down, gives you more time to move troops, to recruit new troops. Because recruiting troops, we didn't really look at the recruitment times because you cheated them. But they do take their time. They're not immediately like produced. They take a few minutes actually, depending on the unit type. It takes even longer.
Oh yeah, and here we have to be careful about friendly fire.
We have friendly fire.
Yeah.
They got shot, by the way.
Yeah, so I should have told my catapults to stop shooting before I sent my troops in. But yeah,
another small information, actually, if they got hit, for example, by catapult, or if they receive a lot of damage at the same time, so for example, the catapult stone killed 2 or 3 of them, it's much more scarier. So the morale hit is much higher. So actually, for example, that's why the charge of the cavalry can break the unit, even though that they have quite enough still like men.
Yeah.
There's one question was here on the wait. So there is a certain restriction around similar to incidents that you can't build stuff right next to enemy units, right?
Yes. So as soon as an enemy sets foot on your island is kind of in an invasion state. And this invasion state will prohibit you from building any more military buildings. So you can't build new barracks or walls or towers. You can also move things. So you can't just move your villa, for example, to a different beach because you see them approach. So there are restrictions on building, although you could, for example, continue building your sheep farm far away from the enemy. So it is restrictive, but mainly also focused on the military buildings.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't want to allow people to build walls around your enemies. So.
Or
Correct,
just sheep farm just always in front of you, so it's slowing you down.
Yeah, they also have a radius where they prohibit all buildings, so you can't even build sheep farms right in front of your unit, but on the other side of the island, basically.
We're very much nearing the end of the stream here, actually, over time, but we have one last video, so let's at least show them a few snippets from that video. This is just to contextualize, right? This is a multiplayer match between you two that you recorded.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So here you can see Jan's army in red. He's invading my island. We decided to have a large invasion army of 20 troops and a smaller defensive army, but I was allowed to create new units in my barracks. Because that, of course, is an option. That also what Ollie already said. So walls are good to slow down the enemy, and all this time that the enemy needs to break through my walls, I can still invest to quickly get out an army. Although it will never be an army, but just a few reinforcements, basically.
You also started with less units. That's what we discussed. That normally I would not invade someone who has the same number of units plus walls plus towers. Yeah, that would be just insane. So we wanted to just somehow recreate the realistic scenario you might encounter in the game. It's let's say more to the mid-late game or late game.
Yeah.
So just one more, please keep it polite in chat. You can't disagree, but keep it polite. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So here you can see the catapults already started shooting at the walls. And I'm trying to position some ballistas, which we haven't talked about yet, but ballistas are the second type of siege engine, and they are really good at sniping enemy catapults and legionaries, because they are quite armor-piercing with their spears. So basically here's a little pre-fight before the real battle in the city starts. I'm sending my cavalry, he's sending his cavalry, basically to fight between the cavalry and the siege engines, who can gain dominance, because whoever has the highest range can outrange the other, so and kind of force the other to move. yeah, so
Yeah, the artillery is a key, of course, quite often because they can the catapults can destroy the walls, but towers also on a safe distance. And they are easy to destroy with cavalry or something like this. So
Yes.
that's why you need to protect them. And I tried to actually kill these ballistas of Marcus, but no, he was actually covering it with his cavalry quite good. So. Yeah, and then we're shooting on each other because he's trying to kill my catapults. I'm trying to kill his
cavalry
ballistas, right?
is always on the lookout and we're walking. Yeah, and this takes actually a bit until it's kind of decided. So I sent my cavalry. Home. Unfortunately, they got a bit of a arrow storm. But yeah, I basically
They got lost on the way.
they got lost on the way a bit, so I sent them back to the villa, and yeah, I think I still get to snipe one of your catapults, but then my ballistas are gone and the pre-fight is kind of decided. But I think also the wall is already broken, and here you can also see some of the surrounding residence buildings got damaged. But yeah, now I have a gaping hole in my main defensive wall, getting in some reinforcements for later. Maybe skip a bit forward to the huge storm on this tiny gap, which was a mistake that you admitted later on, that you have shot a second hole into the wall, because now all your troops are focused, and as we know from the other videos, I position my legionaries now in that choke point and hold up quite the large army at this position. And since I have the archers, and I think at some point I even tried to get in a catapult, but it never arrives in time because they are super slow. There it is. I think it will get some shots, but those are things you want to look out for in the combat. So finding choke points, trying to flank, having the right units at the right time.
So look on the crowds fighting. Yeah, it's like a lot of units, and that's exactly the scenario you showed, like in the third video.
Yep,
I'm blocked here, and that with just few troops, he can hold my whole army and shoot me with the bows and so on. So that was tough.
Yeah. There was one question. You can see, like, you have currently Marco's perspective on this video, so you can see like the fog of war behaves as in all Anno games. Like the stuff that you discovered stays discovered on the map, so you can see enemy ships approaching, therefore units approaching your island if someone invades you in advance. So this is as per Anno tradition.
Yes, exactly. So there is basically no fog of war in this scenario, so there are no hidden units. You always have the perfect information of what's going on. Also a measure to make it always clear to you what's going on. Because in those large fights, there's a lot going on. And you have to take care of several flanks. Maybe, so Manu also teased it earlier, so it will also be possible to let kind of a AI take over your side of the fight. So if you don't want to handle all of this, you can check the auto combat button, and then your troops will behave like the enemy or the rivals, and try to defend your island as good as possible. You can always swoop in and give some special commands. So if you want a specific flanking maneuver, you can still do that. But if this is too much for you, that's understandable, and you can
Marcus tries to kill my catapults. Look on that attempt, yeah? No. Go away.
No, your cavalry saw it, but I got close. So here's my reinforcements and my flanking to turn the tide. But it's quite a large army. Because that's also still true. Having more troops is quite the advantage. So even with all the possibilities we set with the tactical layers, at some point it's also about numbers. Yeah, so you can win a war also just by having the stronger economy and just providing a constant flow of new troops and larger armies.
There was obviously, historically we have the image of the legionnaires carrying a throwing spear pilum. And combat Aurians don't have that. They're very much restricted to a range unit. As in ranged combat, close combat units uses close combat, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually thought about having special actions like throwing the pilum before you go into the charge. But yeah, that also would add to the management that you have to do and create a lot of complexity. We might explore
in the future.
in
but
the future.
Of course, as you mentioned several times, our main focus is city building. It's cool to have the land combat, but it's not like our focus.
It needs to feel good, and I think this was the goal, right? That it is a feature still that's deep enough that you have something to engage with. There are aspects to it, and if you want to have combat, and you have a very solid feature here to engage with and to fight and use combat tactics if you show middle flanking attacks and try to isolate units of your enemy, try to block them from moving further and using your archers from a distance, these kind of things. So all these elements are in there with different stats and different units, attributes essentially, like unit stats, let's call them, so I don't confuse it with other attributes. So all this is there, but it's one aspect of many, and it's not I know it's not an RTS battle game. But I think there was one question which we didn't really answer because we focus much on what happens on land. But how do I even get my units on my opponent's island?
Yes, of course. That's also one unique thing about Anno is the hybrid warfare. So you will be able to put your troops on your ships. One troop equals one cargo slot, and then you can disembark them on the enemy beaches. But your ships stay still relevant because they can also shoot on land. So there is unit or troop to ship combat and ship to troop combat. Or for example, if you have catapult modules installed on your ships, they can really help you destroy those walls and fortifications if they are too close to the beach. So always look out where you put your villa because that should not be in range of enemy ships.
It's a big part of the game which we don't showing. So first thing what I had to do is actually to deliver these units or basically sail with the ships to his coast. Technically, if Marcus destroys the ships, they would be just like in the sea, and then I have some limited time to pick them up. Otherwise, the sharks will do the job for me, and there will be no units left. So all of that is possible, and you can also freely combine the attack of the ships. You can even, for example, the archers can attack the ships, and the ships can attack the archers. So it's also when the city is too close to the coast or the fights happening on the coast, I would probably have the advantage of my fleet, also using the fleet artillery in my advantage.
I think we can also confirm that there are no air units.
Yes.
Yeah.
No settlers.
Yet. No, Romans are not known for
zeppelin
airships.
construction.
Zeppelin construction.
And no submarines either, I think.
No, that's also not for now.
Yeah, so at the end, I managed to kind of get through that choke point because I had more, let's say, legionnaires, and Marcus had more this light infantry. So at the end, but it cost me actually quite a lot, and you see that both armies are quite decimated. So yeah, and then the main thing actually, what is the end? You have to always destroy and overtake the governor villa. So that's the way how to overtake the island, which now I try to focus, but there are still like skirmishes in the streets and some of the units coming back to the battlefield because they were not decimated enough in order to flee forever. So it was like this kind of battles of few leftovers.
Yeah, but we're already closing. You're already closing in on my villa here. So there your legionaries are coming in and destroying my cavalries.
So I think this is a good point to mention. Just in how do you take over islands? There is the villa, as you mentioned. This is your focus. This is where you want to get your units to, and then take over this villa, and then the island is yours if you can manage to hold it long enough. Because in this case not, but you could of course continue producing units as a defender and send them in, and if you manage to push your opponent off the villa again, this capture spot essentially, then you can reverse the fate of your island again.
Yeah. So if I would have a second army somewhere on a different island, I would have enough time to ship them over and try to recapture my villa before the island is gone. Yeah. And I think that was also something you mentioned in 1404. It was a really tedious act of taking over an island because you had to overtake all the warehouses. And in Anno 117, the villa is your main focus. So both players know this is what it's about. Who takes the decisive win is decided on this location, which makes it much clearer and also a bit faster. So overall, this large battle we fought here was around half an hour.
35 minutes.
35 minutes. So yeah, that's obviously a big investment, but also obviously a big fight. But then it's also over. So you can actually engage with war in a much more casual way, kind of.
So at the beginning we were hoping that the big battles might be around half hour, 45 minutes,
and it turned out
quite well at the end.
I mean, yes.
Well planned.
Well, yeah.
Also the because you can stop spamming now, but like the number of players per game is as in 1800 is 4.
Yes.
So there are four players, but as before you can play in co-op, and then there are multiple per.
That might be also fun because actually you can play like up to 4 people in one faction. So actually quite interesting would be how is it like if there are 4 players.
You take the cavalry, I take the artillery.
I am the archer guy, I am the infantry guy, so that you can also split your role and actually effectively, because there is up to 16 players able to play in the multiplayer. That would be so even 4 against 4, that you would have much more control over these armies. Yeah.
And there's one more thing that also exists in multiplayer, correct me, is the active pause. So I could pause the game, especially against rivals, but it's much easier because they don't have to say yes, they just get paused. And then you can take your time. You can pause the game, still command units, maybe look at if you need to build some houses or place another recruitment building somewhere far from the combat, unpause and then continues. And in multiplayer...
No.
In multiplayer, there will be no active pause. As far
would be a bit unfair, right?
It would be voting first. It's 2 versus 2. Okay, random.
But yeah, that's also one measure that helps. If you are not confident with war, you can take your time. There, the last tower falls with a lot of torches, and I think I can skip a bit. And once this last skirmish with your cavalry or your legionaries is done.
I just found out that you have still towers there, so at some point, that's the problem. Yeah, the towers are quite powerful. They balance in a way that they are actually quite effective because they cannot move, so they are static. So you need to compensate this disadvantage. But they have the power of they are even stronger than the classic unit of spearmen, but they cost you like I don't know 1/3 of workforce. So definitely the towers are definitely strong defenses.
Yes. Yeah, if you know that the fight will happen on your turf, then investing in towers is the most cost efficient way. But of course, towers that are not at the location where you're fighting can't help.
Yeah.
So
but the catapults they have the longest range. So at some point also these towers might be actually defenseless, and that's actually where the defender even has to become an attacker, because if the attacking party has a lot of catapults and you don't, and they take the positioning war, so basically they just move very slowly, protect the catapults, destroy everything in front of them, and so on. Then you're forced as a defender to switch the roles, and you need to find out how you can actually destroy these catapults.
That was kind of what was going on in the very first minutes of the fight. I immediately wanted to destroy your catapults because they forced in my hand, kind of. So that's different layers of a siege battle here.
But because I'm Marcus superior, so he of course let me win. Which is very nice from you. Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and the last frame was the destroyed villa, but then the takeover process starts, and you have to decide what to do with the island.
All right, I think we were way over time, but I think we covered it very extensively in terms of how the combat system works, what kind of units there are, what kind of tactics there are. That we use a stone, paper, scissor. I forgot that in the middle. System basically as a basis to for your units to engage spearmen against cavalry, ranged units, archers against spearmen. The typical system. You just seeing how a combat scenario could play out if you invade a city. You need to. We talked about how the different systems intertwine. Your navy is required to get units anywhere on the map in the first place. Workforce is the backbone of your army. Without workforce, you don't have an army. You need the economy with the workforce, but also the money and the resources like armor and weapons to even recruit units in the first place. And then there's the discovery tree and the religion feature, which also go all in this and connect this. And so it's really it's one feature of many, but it's very much intricate, connected to the rest. And even if you don't want units, having a wall around your city, I think is worth building anyway, because it looks just very nice. All right. Obviously, there are more questions as usual, right? Lisa has plenty of questions on various aspects. Also, everything, of course, that's not related to military is generally a question for another time, because this is the focus of today's live stream. So
I think there's one thing that we can also just quickly talk about is how can your troops get healed when they are wounded.
Yeah, we didn't mention it, so they will heal over time. So after they have taken damage, they will need quite a lot of time, and after that they will start healing by themselves. But if you have the encampments, that's when they really will heal up fast. So your damaged troops, you should get them on your ships, bring them home, and camp them, and then they are ready again.
So if you have, for example, just 10 soldiers, they still can restore to the full size, but usually it takes more than an hour or quite long. So it's better to have them on the safe soil and build these camps, because then they cook dinner and heal faster.
Yeah, of course, this is not that we'll have more, because there was a question from Neo Kander. Obviously, there are more topics for the game on the game that we want to cover. We didn't really talk about late game at all so far, what you can expect there in terms of bigger buildings, because obviously there are even bigger buildings. And then we showed you high population tiers. We didn't really talk about the entire province of Albion, so this is also still coming, right, Lisa?
Could be an interesting topic.
Other topics, we just touched on the multiplayer, but there's something we want to also talk a bit more about in detail. So there are plenty of more features and topics we want to cover. So don't worry, we're not running out of steam on this at all. We really just started with some early game or early to mid game maybe, and some of the features. And I'm looking forward to having you back, or also new faces, new guests here for when talking about some of the other features. And this is going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully with the working AC in this room,
a bit less warm.
that would be very nice and make the experience generally much nicer. Right. On the music, I think our audio director Florian would love it if we talk about music at some point. And there are also sound effects, and we did motion capture for units, as we talked about with Raiko in the last stream. So I think there are some cool things we can tackle still. Right, then I would say that's it for this lovely Wednesday evening. Thank you much, Marcus, for joining us. Thank you, Jan, both of you, for talking about military feature. Not forget about Manu, who's now behind the camera, but thank you much for joining us for the intro of this live stream. Thank you, Lisa, for joining me and keeping an eye on the chat. Even they're mostly well behaved, but not all the time.
And thank you, Oli, for handling all of this.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing all the videos as well, Marcus. You recorded these videos, so that's much appreciated to have these examples there. Then, of course, there's
Darius, are you there?
There's
Thank
Darius
you,
as well.
Darius.
Thank you, Darius.
Thank you.
his own thank you as well behind the cameras, and then to Celeste and Andrea behind, in the chat and keeping an eye on the chat as well.
Thanks, guys.
And of course, the whole Anno team for
And
providing us
there's
with
so many people. Thank you.
There's so many people, and all the viewers,
And the viewers.
the viewers of
And
the
my mom.
viewers,
Yeah,
and my
exactly.
mom. Yeah.
All right. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you all for joining, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.